Hi everyone and welcome back. So here we see another question. So we will talk about 135 to 100. So here we are creating a proxy. So proxies are new concept in JavaScript, and proxies are like a new handler. It's like creating the target object from the handler, and it behaves like the same way. So if you are doing you're setting and getting the value, so it will just invoke the setters and getters from the object. So name will actually call set, and here it will call get method, so output should be C. Okay, so here what we are doing is export default function we are exporting, and here we are importing sum, right? So sum function actually represents whatever we are exporting from this, so we can actually call sum dot I mean the exact answer for this should be, because sum is alias, right? So sum for answer should be A C. So I'm not sure pretty much about this sum dot default how it is coming, because export default, here you are doing a default export, so everything whatever you are exporting, that is coming in the alias sum. So sum dot default, okay, yeah, because here you created alias, so you have to actually access each and every function from sum dot, right? So answer should be C. Now something about promises again. So my promise dot resolve, it's a resolved promise. Then again you are resolving the same message. Function 1 and function 2, my promise dot then. Okay, then we have a set timeout with timeout 0, and then we have a last line, so it's a little tricky. So here we should get promise, then first of all there is a last line, then promise, then timeout. Last line, promise, then timeout. Last line, timeout, and promise. Here it should be, because we can resolve the answer from await. Here it will await for the promise. First of all promise, it should return promise, then it should return last line, then timeout. Promise, last line, and timeout. Promise, last line, and timeout. Okay, there is one more timeout. Yeah, look like D only. Promise, last line, and timeout, because you can see that it will await for the promise, so it will get last line, sorry, it will return promise first, then it will print last line, then it will resolve the set timeout. This is the output of second function. In the first function we are getting last line promise, last line, that is correct, then we are waiting for promise and then timeout. Okay, so counter, we are increasing the counter property, and we actually incremented this to counter 1 dot increment, then again increment, then we actually created another reference of the same object and doing increment, and then we are checking the count. Okay, so this should be like we have increased it twice, and then again we have incremented it from the another reference, but it is still pointing to the same object, so counter should be 3. Here we are doing a flat, so I mean flatten is a method in JavaScript where you can pass dot flat infinite, so it will merge all the arrays. Here we are passing the length, I mean the depth of the flattening is 1, so it will actually flatten this one, but it will not flatten the pizza slice, so it should be B. Promise resolve, we are actually resolving this promise, and here we have async await, which will start await my promise. Yes, so it will return this message. Why there is so much try catch, and then finally it will execute. So some cool data and oh finally, so some cool data, see, uh, random value 21, const random value, so type of random value, okay, because with the latent const you don't get the hoisting in the functions. Random value is defined here, but here we don't have the reference of random value, so it should be a reference error. Yes, reference error it is. Now number is not a number, number is not a number, is, so name, yes, that is not a number, is not a number, is again a false, is not a number, name, that will be true, is not a number, name, true, is not a number, is, which will be false, so it will be false, 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 true, is not a number, name should be true, is not a number, is, it should be already false. Okay, it should be false, false, true, false. See, here we got items, and what we are doing is we are doing some kind of a destructuring here, and what we are doing is in this array index, third index, we are assigning this new icon. So we already have 3 indexes, the 4th index is getting added here starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, so answer should be B. A little tricky because this is what destructuring does. Okay, now it's internationalization and we are passing ENUS, so I will just directly go to the output. I mean, it's just about unit pricings should be ENUS manner, so it should be dollar and MPH, so it should be B. XYZ, so here we are passing XYZ as an object, here we are passing something else. Now let's see, try to map this argument to this object. Are we getting XYZ in an object? No, right? So XYZ will be undefined in this case, should be D. Okay, so here we got a generator function, I start, I is less than end, I plus plus, and we are resolving the promise for the I start till end. So its range we already have 0, 1, 2, 3. We are awaiting item of generator, which is 1, 2, 3 console.log item. Okay, so this is the range function, because range function is generating the iterable object and we can actually run for of loop onto that, and it is resolving the promise and we are awaiting that, right? So it should, I think we should get resolved promise for that. So 1, 2, 3, because we are awaiting the promises, so we get the resolved output as 1, 2, 3. Coming to this, it's you can say the curry function, nested function, function calling another function, calling another function, and we are doing console.log xyz. It should be straightforward. It should just return us the sum of it by printing the output. Oh, let's see this, because it's a nested closure, we are calling add function 4, then 5, then 6. It should be simple, I think 4, 5, 6, or there is a something strange going on here. 4, 5, 6 should be my output. Yeah, that is correct. Now type of name, so here this condition will evaluate first, name equal to object, name equal to string, both are false, right? So if both are false, type of false is a boolean, that is a string, and then you are negating it, so both should become false, right? Here we have language and we are setting the language, set language, and we are just doing this dot language dot push. So what config dot language is pointing to, config dot language is still an empty array. Why it is asking for it? Because it's a setter, we are not doing a getter. What's the output? Console.log config.language. we have actually set this property also, and language, okay, languages, and we are actually accessing language property. So we don't have a getter to get this, we just have a setter, so it should be undefined, right? We have just setter, we don't have a getter too, so it will be undefined. Groceries, banana, apple, and this index of banana is groceries.index of includes all these methods come in same line. Index of banana, it will return non -1 value, so we have to buy this, right? Index of banana, okay, it's it correct. Why it's a little strange. So we have groceries array, we are doing index of let's see the answer. Index of banana to the if statement will return 0, which is the falsy value. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so it returns the index, which is non -1 value, means it returns the index, and 0 is again a falsy value. So you will go here. Little tricky, because you always need to take care what value you are going to get. If index is 0, obviously it is a falsy. Okay, first name, pat, and get full name. All are basic functions. Person.pat.name, person.pat.name. So you can access this property. Person.pat.family name, person.pat.family.name. We don't have this property somewhere. It will be undefined. Person.get full name. To print first name, last name. So it should be B. Second one is undefined otherwise. And last one is what we are doing, member.get full name. Where is member? Yeah, it's undefined. A reference error. Member is undefined and you are trying to access property, so it will be a reference error, right? You can't access something on the undefined. List, okay, we have number 1. List is this list, and what we are trying to access is num equal to num plus 1, so it should be 2. 0 1 2 is still allowed, not sure. So 0 1 2 index should be this, or it should be a syntax error, or B. So plus 1 operand will increase it to 2, then index of 2, list of 2 is this, so we get this icon. Which of the following option will return 6? Okay, so here we are calling some value, we are passing the argument as an array 1 2 3, but it is taking arguments. So whenever there is a multiple argument, you can actually pass that as a rest parameter, dot 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 array. Okay, but 1 2 3, it should not be this, it should not be this. C, yes. So we can spread and iterate them. So we are spreading them is an array, but finally they will become, once you spread them, it will become x1 y2 and z3. Person object and change age and name. So change age, we are passing the person object here, so we are actually changing the age here to plus 1, so it should be 22, and then change age and name. Here you are not passing anything, so default it will fall back to the person object, and you are changing the age and name. So name finally should be Sarah and age should be 23. See, okay, let's see this, we are passing this explicitly, this object, so it will update this object, person object. Okay, so person object, when you are changing it, you are changing the age, which is 22, but when you are passing this is the default argument, then still you are passing the person object as a default. So let's see the explanation. Then we invoke this function, however we don't pass a parameter. Instead of value x is equal to the new object, since it's a new object, it okay, got it. So whatever the mutation we have done in the person object, that doesn't apply, because we are not passing the same person object, it's a new object we are passing, because here we are doing spreading, right? So it's a new object we are passing, so whatever the changes which are happening here doesn't applies to the changes here. I mean, it will not override that, and we are calling the person object. Okay, interesting question. Here we have the map and the function. Map.set function with the value hello world. Map.get greeting. Map.get my function. Which method will return value hello world? Okay, greeting my function. Okay, we haven't set greeting, so we don't know. The second one is my function, which is returning greeting. Should be 2, or because if 2 and 3 both should be there. B is 2, so that is some logic about map. Let's see this. So while adding key value pair set method, then key will the value of the first argument passed to the set function. In this case, the value is hello world. My map is now this. Okay, some good explanation. Keys greetings. Okay, this is incorrect. It's just about my function. My function is still representing a function, right? It's not calling it so that we can get the value greeting. Okay, so the output is B, which is 2. Okay, we'll talk about this. I will just put this in the parking lot. So there is an alert set interval we are calling, and console.log alert set interval callback won't be invoked. Config equal to null we are setting. Now think about this. There is a config object. We have the alert in that. We never invoke config.alert, and config is null. If config is null, you can't invoke config.alert. Yeah, so what happens is whenever you do set interval, it will get invoked until unless you actually do clear an interval here. So see. Okay, so what we are doing is x, this is arrow function returning x, and then what it is doing, it is trying to evaluate this expression. I love to program. X is undefined, so undefined it's an expression in JavaScript, so type error because x is not defined, so either it should be undefined to program. Yes, undefined to program, because if it is undefined, then it will also it should not impact with this. Let's see, I love to program, so that means it is undefined and it is not impacting the next expression. We pass the value I love as an argument. Okay, got it. So here it's an arrow functions, and we are calling this function with this I love as an argument is, so it will actually returning the same value. So it's like you are actually calling the function in the second block. Okay, so that's it guys. I'm just closing it. I will just share the link. This is open source GitHub link where you can actually look at these coding questions, and I see these questions coming at different places in the coding quizzes and coding test. So at least have a look onto these. This will help you to crack some of the coding test.